Targon has used me as its weapon for far too long. Let's end this on a high note.
With his latent power being unshackled, it's time to unleash Starfire with the Unofficial Champion Comprehensive Gameplay Update Rework Spotlight, featuring Aurelion Sol, the Starforger. A glamorous star must always adapt to the times, so that's why Aurelion Sol's entire kit has been reworked, but his dashing looks have remained the same. In-game, Aurelion Sol is a mid-range battle mage that burns his victims down to become ever more powerful. Born at the beginning of time, Aurelion Sol traveled the cosmos, creating stars and galaxies to his liking. He later accepted a gift from the Targonians that ended up restricting his powers and forced him into becoming their slave. He then made a vow that when he breaks free of their chains, he would destroy all of Runeterra as revenge. He also has the best skins in the entire galaxy with Mecha, Ashen Lord, and Storm Dragon. Aurelion Sol's passive, Cosmic Creator, breaks down his enemies when damaging them, allowing him to collect Stardust, which in turn infinitely amplifies his other abilities. To not spoil the fun, I will explain what his passive does to each of his abilities as I explain them, rather than doing it out front. His Q, Breath of Light, stops Aurelion Sol in his tracks, bellowing out a Starfire flame dealing magic damage to the first target hit, as well as half of the damage to surrounding enemies that would unfortunately be in the midst of a star-creating star-destroying dragon. When he has hit them for a full second on the same enemy, it deals a burst of % max health damage, as well as giving Asol 1 Stardust if they are a champion. How far the flame goes is based on Aurelion Sol's level. With his passive, the more Stardust he gathers, the more % max health the burst deals after 1 second. Once this ability is maxed out, so long as you have the mana, there is no channel duration for the flame, so open up and show them your pearly whites and give them a taste of that minty fresh breath.
And I'm barely trying.
Use your flames when you have a good opening to punish your opponent. If they don't have the damage to back up their attacks, you can stack up and be assured that the next time you engage, you'll have that little extra damage to help your lane. When Akshan gets in range, I use as much of my flames as I can, making sure to keep an eye on my mana and health as to not overcommit. Both of us disengage, but in terms of scaling, I come out on top. Aurelion Sol's W, Astral Flight, allows him to fly in a linear direction. While flying, his Q, Breath of Light, has no cooldown or max channel duration, and it also increases the damage of your flames by a flat percentage. Take note that while using your breath, you are slowed down, and using any form of movement such as flashing or even clicking to the side will end the flight early. Other abilities that Aurelion uses will not slow him down, only his Q. Takedowns, however, will refund you 90% of the cooldown. With this ability, you can also fly over terrain. With his passive, the more Stardust he collects, the farther he can travel in his flight.
Time to give them a show.
Because this ability is very telegraphed, it is important to have both mindful timing and destination. Use this when you have a clear advantage to fly beside your opponent to incinerate them with the extra flat damage you have, plus the Stardust you have collected. You can always stop the flight, but you will not have any other form of escape, and you might sorely regret your decision. Here, Kiana engages to try to take me down, but since she has used all of her abilities and I am still alive, I take the risk and fly towards her escape, continuously flaming her down. Though it was a close call, I defeated her in the end and got a good amount of Stardust overall. Next up is his E, Singularity. In a target location, Sol summons a black hole that drags any enemy in the area towards the center, dealing continuous damage, and will execute them below a certain percentage threshold. Each second a champion is inside the area, it will grant Sol with Stardust. With his passive, the more Stardust you have, the larger the area around the center becomes, as well as the execute threshold becoming higher.
This'll make them stare.
In lane, it's a good idea to start out with E, that way it gives you the opportunity to get some early poke, clear minions, and even collect as much Stardust as you can. Because remember, to collect Stardust from minions, the ability itself doesn't need to be the one to execute them. If they die inside of it, you will collect it. And finally, his ultimate, Falling Star. This ability allows Sol to quite literally throw a star at you, dealing damage as well as stunning enemies in the crash location. You also collect Stardust for each champion hit. Once you have gained this ability and collected enough Stardust, it then transforms into the Skies Descend. Once activated, you throw an entire constellation that not only knocks up everything in the target location, but unleashes a massive shockwave throughout the rift that deals damage and slows. Once you use the empowered version of his ult, you must then collect the necessary amount of Stardust needed in order to get the same empowered version again. With more Stardust, the bigger the area becomes, making it a devastating ability in teamfights.
Let's end this on a high note!
Falling Star becomes an excellent ability that can easily turn the tides on a teamfight. Combining it with your E, Q, and W allows you to deal as much consistent damage as possible, as well as giving you the necessary time to position yourself to properly cook any champion in your way. Medium rare, if you please. Throughout the game, it's vital for you to gather as many stacks as you can, as to ensure that your amplified abilities can be of use during later teamfights. When given the chance, burn down your foes with as much Breath of Light as you can. Remember to make use of your Q not having a channel limit when you've maxed it out, and to continuously reposition yourself with your near resettable W. Outside of teamfights, your Q and E are your best friends in obliterating waves of minions. This opportunity in between battles also gives you a chance to catch up with stacking if you were to fall behind. With each Stardust gathered is another reason for them to not underestimate your presence. Zoning with your E, applying powerful damage over time, and throwing a huge AoE stun will give you and your teammates enough time to destroy the enemy team. Come late game, if you have been stacking up on Stardust, become the Dragon God you are meant to be and
Destroy all of Runeterra.
Got a little carried away there. Make sure to check out Riot's Aurelion Sol update trailer and original spotlight from when he first released. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all next time.